So do you think, think deleting a post makes it disappear? Think again, right? Courts love social media evidence, and we've got some examples that we're going to share from like real life cases that you guys have dealt with.
I mean,
right?
I don't know if courts love it, because nowadays, I see quite a bit of it, and there's so much of this.
Lawyers love it. How about that?
Lawyers love it. I don't know about
the
judges, because everything is, oh, well, she put me on Facebook Live, put me on blast on this, and I've got a recording of it, and this is what she posted about coming to my house and, beating me up and stuff like that. But as far as, crucial evidence in cases, people think that I posted that and then I deleted it because I thought better about it. I would say 90% of the stuff you post, if not more, can be retrieved in some form or fashion, whether it's from your actual cellular device or computer that you posted it on, whether it's from, law enforcement or an attorney sending a subpoena to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, things like that. I mean, these things are stored. They're stored for a reason. They have law enforcement and lawyer or legal divisions at these companies that all they do is receive and respond to requests, proper legal requests for this information, and they disseminate every bit of it. And it's very particular as far as your location, when you posted it, what device it came from, IP address. I mean, it's just there. So you thinking that you can, send a defamatory, derogatory post or a threatening post or something like that, or a picture, and then thinking that, oh, well, I deleted it and now a month has gone by, it's got to be gone, is not there.
No.
It happens.
I'll say you mentioned it a little bit to start. You said the courts don't love it. The reason the courts don't love it is because of admissibility problems. Like if a lawyer has it, they're going to go through the steps to make sure it's admissible. But Sean, you're a magistrate judge. Those steps are quite often forgotten by the layman, and they just come in. And so you can't just bring in stuff. You have to show, where it's from and how you got it and all these other things.
Sure, it's just very difficult to make a determination when you don't have the background foundation of I mean, I'm not, Reed knows this, I'm not horribly computer savvy or tech savvy, but I guarantee
I'm gonna be kind.
I guarantee
true.
you, I could make a false, get on Adobe and make a false looking Facebook post that says it was from Lindsay McCullough, calling me a butthole or whatever the case, and be like, she did it. It's like, when you don't have the foundation to, how do you believe that? It's just, it turns into the same thing as me saying that you did it and you saying that you didn't, even though you got a piece of paper, because we don't know whether or not it's true or not.
And with AI, that's going to come even more and more and more. And so,
what a headache,
like Sean, you
that's
mentioned it. I mean, how you prove that stuff is through all the stuff you talked about, where it came from. There's experts that we don't understand all the technicalities of it, but you have to hire these companies to say, this is where it came from, this is what why for a fact, and then the judge will admit it, and then you can share it with the jury or whatever. The one I have that I'm obviously keeping names and everything out, it was a civil case. My person was a weightlifter, and they were pretty successful at it, and it was this car accident, and just on and on about how they couldn't do anything and couldn't do it, and I'm believing them. And so
they got injured and they couldn't hurt.
They couldn't do the weightlifting and couldn't do any of, and it was just on and on and on. And I had no reason not to believe it, right? And then the defense attorney had gotten some deleted posts that were, 6 to 8 months after the accident, where my person's like
lifting weights,
not lifting weights, winning competitions, lifting weights. So we had a nice little talk, and we resolved that case for for the right amount, not
a different value than what you were thinking,
than what they were telling me. So and that's another thing. Lawyers, we only know what we are told, what our client tells us, and then so when you have a case like that and you're faced with that, you got to. I know at least us, we're honest with our client and say, look, this you're not being
ain't gonna
truthful
fly.
to me. I can't. Yeah, it's not gonna work. So, but that was one that it was on Facebook, matter of fact, and so yeah, that one was a case killer.
Yeah. I read about one in my research for this out of Texas that a lady was trying to get long-term disability, and it wasn't her Facebook that the defense basically found. It was her husband's that showed them, on all these trips and all this different stuff, and they were like, she doesn't have all these things you're claiming that she has to get
I had
long-term
one
disability.
that was riding horseback,
She's
jumping
doing all this
stuff,
stuff, and it was her husband. She hadn't posted a single thing, and so that just goes to show you, like,
oh sure,
I mean, it's not just your page.
I'll tell you this to counteract that an agreement too is like we've had cases where a family member posted an older picture, and the defense uses it and says, she's doing great right here.
Like, that's 2012, bro.
Right, but they're posting it in the time frame that so the defense counsel is going to bring that stuff up too.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously you can find a way around that, but it's still a problem. It's always a problem.
Yeah.
There's many problems with it, and sometimes it's helpful to us.
Yeah.
Other times it's not.
I would say this. Usually, it's always the negative, and what I mean by that is like if it's useful, it's negative against somebody else. It's never positive for your client. Sure. Do you know what I mean? Like there's never anything that you go, my client put this on Facebook and it worked out great. There's not. I've never had that. I don't.
Like if a case actually goes to trial, even though you've already been through depositions and things like that in a civil case, they're going to ask about those things. And even if the response is, yes, I'm doing fine in that photo, but it was in 2012.
Yep.
It's throwing mud at a window, trying to make that window completely where you can't see through it.
That's a
and
good
the
analogy.
more things that they ask about that a jury thinks, yeah, she's doing fine right there. And then it's like, oh, that happened in 2012. The jury's like, well, did it really, or is she just explaining that?
Yep.
And then they come up with something
Another
else.
one.
They're trying to pick away, and I mean that's their job because they're advocating on behalf of their client. But
/ insurance company.
When it's a big case, they will investigate to save money.
Yep.
Because of, like your example, the woman who's claiming lifelong disability and got busted by her husband's Facebook post.
Yep.
This is an insurance company or an employer or whatever the person who's going to have to pay this is.
Yep.
A lifetime of disability payments can be in the millions of dollars. So
they're going to pull out
am I going to spend $1,500 and have a private investigator do a deep dive on this person's social media contacts and their things? Absolutely. And then they bring us that evidence that shows that no, she's out there vacationing, playing golf, riding horseback. This can't be true. You've just saved millions of dollars.
Yep.
So it happens. I mean, there's not going to be normally private investigators sitting outside of people's houses for, claims that are for $12,000 where the person had back pain for 6 to 8 weeks. But when you get up into the serious cases where people are claiming a serious injury, permanent injuries that are going to be long lasting with future medical expenses and stuff. I mean, lawyers on that side have an absolute duty to investigate on behalf of their client, even if it's an insurance company that we hate. They have that duty, and they're going to do it. And sometimes it works out in their favor, and they prove the truth. Which, like Reed said, sometimes we don't know.
Or you don't. I mean, that's the. I mean, honestly, that's just the truth of the matter. You just sometimes you don't know. But and I've had it go both ways. And I always brag on Jace Ingram. He's attorney here and great defense attorney. And if I bring him something that shows the truth, he's going to say, "Oh, I was wrong." And that that's fine. You move on. But I don't believe that Miss Dank's attorney would do that. Let's put it that way.
Can you share your example from earlier we were talking about?
Oh, sure. I mean, we find, stuff that's helpful to us, especially when I was doing a lot of criminal defense work. One of the best ones was, a young kid, adult, but very young kid,
As you get older, you change those.
Yeah.
You know, 10 years ago, you'd have been like, oh, it's an
Well,
old
people
dude.
think it was like a 12-year-old child.
I
But, like 17, 18-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That his parents had got him his own apartment and kind of just let him do whatever he wanted to do. And our client was an adult who had his own child that was that age and wasn't really behaving, was going out and hanging out with this kid, and went over there without permission, and the dad found out and went over there to get him out of. They wouldn't open the door. Finally, they opened the door, and he pushed in, and the whole place smelled like marijuana and everything. Right. Couldn't find anybody inside, but went to the bathroom. They were locked in the bathroom, and pushed in the door. Yanked his son out. In the process, pushed the other kid out of the way, and that kid, as well as his family, went to proceed, to try to take out a warrant on the dads, under the guise of this assault, battery, cruelty to children, because this is a 17-year-old versus a 40-year-old guy, and represented him. And number one, I felt for the guy already, because
absolutely
any one of us would have done the same thing. You're protecting your own child, even though he's a quasi young adult making poor decisions. And this kid gets in the way, and in my very extensive criminal investigation,
which is what you're about to say is really impressive based on your lack of technology.
Yeah, it's true.
Was able to talk to some people and get a Snapchat post that this person had posted.
Snapchat again.
Like
I will tell you this. Sean definitely didn't get. He had some help. I
got help. It's about finding good people to work with you and interact with.
That's right, Shawnee.
And we got a face or Snapchat post of this guy like 2 nights before the hearing for this, whether or not a warrant's going to be issued. This guy's going to be arrested. Him smoking marijuana, doing the back reverse. What's it called? You told me what it's called.
Shotgunning.
Yeah, putting a lit
Don't ask me
marijuana
how I
cigarette.
know
I don't know any of that.
In your mouth and blowing smoke into another guy's mouth.
Or a woman.
And I talked to him.
That is weird.
I talked to him and the family who was before, because we always want to work things out before court. Without the necessity of the court intervening.
Well, and it's just ugly. It's open court. It can
Correct.
get ugly.
And that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to say, which this was, you wouldn't have wanted to see your son in this position.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I explained that to the kid as well as the guardian or parent who was there with him. I was like, this is what is going to come out in open court, and it's going to be shown to the judge.
Yep.
It's going to be shown to everybody. This wasn't a big deal. I don't know why you think it's a big deal. I would have yanked my son out the same way.
Yep.
They wanted to proceed. They went through with their case, said what happened. I said, yeah, Judge, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much what happened. I'd like to introduce this. This was taken, this is what this person posted 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
And that, even though there was sufficient evidence probably that a criminal offense occurred, the judge was so pissed off that this child, 17, 18-year-old kid, 2 nights ago was smoking pot, that his parents were aware of it, and that this other dad was just upset that his kid was involved in it, and case dismissed.
I think that goes exactly what we were talking about with this case, is that's with Michigan and their discriminate or classification of weight for discrimination. When you're talking about assault, that's not the purpose of the law. Yep. It's not if you have to bump a kid to save your kid. Like, that's not the purpose of that law. The purpose of this law that Michigan has is not for morbidly obese people to not be able to fit in the back of a coupe. It's just not. And so, it's the same thing. It really is.
A very, very great judge from this area that I may have worked for in the past when she was not a judge, at one time in court said, every unwanted physical contact is not a criminal offense. And that's exactly right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a good point. Well, I think it's great that we shared some of our own examples. because we can talk about celebrities all day long.
And when we could talk about more, most of them are like reads.
I
where,
gotta keep
you know,
it.
I've got, you know.
It's hard. You gotta keep names and stuff out.
No,
It's tough.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
yeah,
you know, you got, you know, people that we get all sorts of videos.
It's,
of people.
we can tell some crazy stuff.
We have to say, you know, like Reed said, it's like, I'm not as blunt as Reed. I never tell a client that they're not being honest with me. I just kind of say that, you know, I don't know what you were doing, but this evidence that is going to come in later on, should we proceed forward any further, is going to make it look like you are not telling the truth when you're jumping off of this stage performing a musical you know, rap video or whatever the case may be. Doesn't look like your knees are hurting that bad. Or
to protect myself, Sean, you are very blunt, but I will say that I will say that I'm blunt with my clients.
With you guys,
right? I'm blunt with my clients
and my other, you know, the people that I work with, the clients.
Well, I expect my clients to tell me the truth, and when they don't, I let them know that they're lying. And
there's client Sean, and then there's real Sean.
That's right. That's right.